It's time for your daily dose of all things Chicago sports. This is the Daily Score. Now, here's your host, Mark Grote.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome in to the Daily Score. I am Mark Grote. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you subscribing and following us and listening to us, whether it is through audio or visual. Love the interaction that I've seen on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys listening to the Daily Score. We're getting close, man. We're getting close. Like every day that passes as it pertains to the Bears and all the things that we're talking about is huge because it means we're getting closer to a potential answer. There's even stuff floating around that we may know the Bears' direction by the time the combine comes up, which is next week. At this time, about next week, we will have spoken to Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and all the Bears people that they let us talk to at the combine. And then the next day we will be seeing and talking to the prospects. So this stuff is starting to get real. We all have an opinion on the proper avenue. And that's what I've been doing lately on the podcast, getting people on. That's what we're going to do and find out what they think the Chicago Bears should do. The person that I want to do that with today is Mark Carman from CHGO. Ray Diaz, bring me Mark Carman. There he is. There he is. Mark Carman from CHGO and from so many other places and from WGN. You're still doing the WGN radio thing too, yeah?
Marco, I am. I appreciate you having me. You know, I try to be as big of a media whore as possible. So WGN, Fox 32, NBC Sports Chicago. I love every outlet in town. I love you, WSCR 670 to the Score. Been begging to host a show there for 10 years. Can't get it done. But, you know, I love everybody, baby. I am Switzerland, Media Switzerland Carm.
Oh, now I'm thinking about it. You said you've been trying to get a job at the Score for 10 years. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble for having you on the Daily Score today. This better be good, man.
Mitch Rosen's thrilled I'm here. I know he is. I just saw him in Vegas. We had an enjoyable greeting. He was hanging out. So I think Mitch is thrilled that I'm here right now.
I think you're right. I think Mitch loves the Carm. So I think this is going to work out perfectly. And I knew you'd come on since, as you said, you're a media whore. But the Carm, man, you could call yourself a media whore. But you're also, somebody called me a grinder yesterday, and I was like, that's an insult to people like Mark Carman, because Mark Carman is always out here grinding, doing the CHGO show. They're always doing shows. Every time I see the guy, he's doing a show. I know you're going to be at the combine next week where I will see you, and we will hopefully get some more inside information on what's going down. First thing I want to ask you is, do you believe or think we will actually know a pretty precise direction for the Bears when we get together at the combine next week, as one report suggested? I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah, I don't buy it either, Mark. I don't think we'll know on Monday when we get down there, and I don't think we'll know Friday when we leave. I think there's a lot to be played out here. You know, the Bears obviously sitting down with Caleb, sitting down with Drake May, and figuring out the market for Justin. I mean, I think the Justin love in that front office is real. I think that they really appreciate the guy. I think that they even appreciate the talent too. And they realize where they've, not exactly set Justin up for success. But I also think they realize the opportunity that they have. And, everyone talks about the great trade that Ryan Poles made. That trade wouldn't be as great, man, if Carolina had won some of the close games that they ended up losing, because, C.J. Stroud looks like a hell of a player, and the Bears are lucky to be sitting here with the number one pick, but they are sitting here with it. And, we'll see if they do go all the way and take Caleb and take that swing. But I don't, to answer your question in a very long way, I don't think we're going to know by the end of the combine.
I don't think so either. I thought it was interesting, and it felt a little dramatic, and it made my heart skip just because this is what we do right now. But yeah, I'm not buying it right now. We'll get some clues and some hints and a little bit of insight next week, but I think that's the most. You just reminded me, given that answer, that you and I might have been the only ones, correct me if I'm wrong, who walked out of Hallis Hall the day of the big Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, everybody jammed into the interview room day. You and I were the only ones who thought, it's not crazy to think that the Bears are still evaluating Justin Fields, and they actually said enough during that press conference to make me wonder. I still think the chances are greater that he's not here, but I heard a lot. I heard a pathway to Justin Fields during that press conference, which I didn't expect to hear.
Yeah, and they keep on saying it, and everyone's like, well, Kevin's just trying to up his trade value. I don't believe that. The NFL knows what they're willing to pay for Justin. What comes out of Kevin Warren's mouth is not going to matter. I don't think Kevin Warren is, the guy's got an ego. He talks about 2 alpha males and him and Ryan Poles, but I don't think he thinks that when he speaks, he's going to up the value of what someone's going to pay for Justin Fields. Does that logically make any sense to anyone? I don't think it does. So, look, they like Justin. What's not to like? The guy's a first-class dude. He's done nothing but represent the franchise in a first-class manner. So I think in their ideal way, they would keep him and win with him. But they have to make a bet here as to what's the best way they're going to win. And I think logic that everyone's talking about makes sense. That it seems like a better play to draft Caleb and take the big swing. However, Mark, when you talk to people, like if you had to bet who's a surefire Hall of Famer in this draft, the most consensus you're going to get is from Marvin Harrison. Most people think that dude is the next Jerry Rice, whatever, Randy Moss, whoever you want to name, T.O. And there's at least a little bit of hedging on Caleb. But, a very good quarterback is worth more than a Hall of Fame receiver, I guess. So, which is why another reason why you would take the swing.
Check this out, Carm. I was talking, I'll just tell you straight up who it was. It happened live. Haugh Arkush and I, we were doing a show together, and the publisher said that he thinks JJ McCarthy, Michigan, will end up being the best quarterback of the bunch.
Yeah, I was driving when he said that, and I have to, I'm sitting in a new car today because I totaled the other one. I appreciate that Haugh will take big swings like that. JJ McCarthy, who looks about as big as me, is better than Caleb. I'm going to doubt Haugh on this one, but I heard him say it. So, and listen, I talked to Nate Tice from The Athletic in Vegas, and he thinks that Drake May is the best quarterback. So you've got a bunch of outliers out there who are, raising their hands saying, hey, I know it's not popular, but this is what I think. And kudos to him, man. Groupthink is exhausting.
That's true.
God bless you for putting that out there and giving us a moment where Carmen Grote can react to what I thought was a ridiculous comment. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe Haugh will be right.
Yeah, groupthink is exhausting. You are so right. If I could do it all over again, that would be the name of this podcast. Instead of the Daily Score, group talk is exhausting. That's right. Did I have it right?
I said groupthink, group talk, whatever.
Groupthink is exhausting. I'm guilty. I'm in on it. So I try to color outside of the lines a little bit, and Lord knows you do. But that just reminded me to be better at it. The only issue I have with you here, Carm, in just the absolute poo-pooing of JJ McCarthy and subsequently Haugh Arkush, the only problem I have with that is that you're the guy who's told us Tyson Beckwith was it.
I don't know if you could draw that direct line, but thank you for saying that.
I did. Because they seem similar to me. They seem similar. Both smart, heady quarterbacks who don't have really strong arms.
Well, yes, and maybe JJ could have had the incredible success that Tyson had at Shepherd University. But look, the dude handed the ball off a ton. He'd have to throw the ball 8 times in a game. And I get the competitive spirit of JJ, and who the hell knows, again, maybe Haugh's right there, but that seems super tall. As for Tyson Beckwith, Marco, and I appreciate you bringing him up. Look, I'm not saying that quarterback records mean a whole lot because it's a team game, but the fact of the matter is The dude went 2-2. He beat out PJ, whatever his name was, who, that nobody saw that coming. The guy, I mean, he was given this to the Soldier Field crowd. It was one of the greater moments of the year. Bagent, sure, he got a little out over his skis and wasn't ready to win a game on the road for the Bears in hostile territory. But I'm going to call that call a win by yours truly, buddy. I'm giving myself a passing grade on my Tyson Bagent takes this year.
I accept it. I accept your victory because you care so much, and I don't care to do the obvious research that would counter everything you just said because of the bad things about Tyson Bagent.
Hey, listen, there's guys like Jimmy Garoppolo out there who are looking for work.
That's true.
I'm not paying Garoppolo. I'm sticking with the bargain basement Bagent and betting on some serious growth in year 2. Damn it! If we need a backup to whoever's quarterback in this thing.
Oh, I want you to have that conversation with him in the locker room. The bargain basement Bagent. You're not going to endear yourself to him, Carm, if you keep saying stuff like that. You're supporting him, but then he hears that, and then you ruin all the goodwill.
I mean, I'm just okay. Let me say it nicer. Value Bagent. The VB.
There you go.
And hey, the last time they had open locker room this year, the last guy I talked to was Tyson.
I think I remember that. I was like, why is he bugging Bagent?
Yeah. I'm like, look, and he was, he put down his phone. He was looking at tape. He said, "What's up, Carm? You're my guy." I'm making that part up, but he did put down his phone and he talked to me. And listen, I'm excited for the future of Tyson Bagent. Damn it, even if no one else is.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing like watching Mark Carman work a locker room. It is absolutely deluxe, and I stand in awe. I even give him suggestions sometimes because I know certain directions that he'll go. Carmio, back on track a little bit. So I think, we kind of agree. I think we're very much in agreement on the Bears because I think we both understand what the value of Justin Fields could still be, but both would prefer and think the Bears would go with Caleb Williams. I think we're at the point now where we can start to think about that number 9 overall pick in the first round as well. Do you have a position or even a guy that you are in love with at the number 9 pick, or are you just like best available player?
I heard you doing your draft board the other day, Marco, and I was very impressed that you had
gone
down that road.
I did a draft board. Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, Grote's on fire. He's going draft board.
I did the thing. I did it. Yeah.
I didn't know you had that in your holster. So congratulations.
It's not typical me.
Yeah. But look, I got 2 things. I got 2 ways of looking at 9. One, the most aggressive way is taking the 9 and moving up to 3 or 4 and drafting Marvin. Whatever it would take to do it, super aggressive, a la the Cardinals, a la Will Anderson. Everybody gave him shit for that. Can you swear on this podcast? I believe you can.
Yes.
That to me, it'll be a little bit painful and over aggressive, and maybe the Bears aren't quite there where a one player like that puts you over the top. But there are so many people. I haven't heard anybody say a negative word about Marvin Harrison. So if you can get Junior in the fold, I think it's worth a big swing. The other way is, look, you need centers, you need interior offensive linemen. If you're sitting there at 9 and all the receivers are gone, which Adunze and Neighbors and Marvin, and you're not necessarily wild about drafting a tight end like Brock Bowers, who would also be an interesting trade down candidate. I like that option. But if you can move into the 20s, recoup some major draft capital and come out of here with a center, JPJ Jackson Powers Johnson, the most popular name out there right now.
Yeah.
I don't hate that play either, because I think at 9, quarterback, receiver. I didn't mind your take either, Marco, that look, if the top defensive player is on the board at 9, I'm okay with the Bears going that direction. You need one more player who can get to the quarterback to make that defense elite.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with having an elite defense. And then you go in the offseason and you try to, you got it. You're going to free agent yourself wide receivers. You're going to late round pick wide receivers. And hopefully for the first time, Ryan Poles will get that right, because that's a major gap in his resume right now.
Yeah, I definitely circled Dallas Turner, the big defensive end out of Alabama, 11 sacks last year, 15 tackles for loss, a couple of forced fumbles. And one of the experts that I had on, and this was live on the Score, said that if Will Anderson had not been in that draft last year, because there's a ton of talented defensive ends in last year's draft and that are thriving in the NFL, quite frankly, as well. But he said that Dallas Turner would have been the top guy out of that group. So that's got me turned on a little bit if the Bears were to be at 9, because I think that's very plausible possibility. That's the thing, man. It's like they might be able to take whatever defensive player in the world they want to take at 9. Like that's wild to think about and even tempting. And I know you said you want to move up, but just looking at that too, hypothetically.
Right. And I mean, I don't think the Poles is going to have the stomach for moving up from 9 to 3, whatever that, or 9 to 4, whatever that would cost. But it does feel painful to not come out of this draft with Marvin Harrison Jr. Just like that, that would be a level of excitement that we just haven't had. Johnny Morris is the all-time leading receiver in Bears history. Are you freaking kidding me? like, I mean, come on, man.
Carm. Not only do people not remember Johnny Morris at all playing, and that includes you and I, because we're not that old. People don't even remember Johnny Morris, the broadcaster, anymore. So.
Right. That me and you step in, and we loved Channel 2 and Johnny, and we loved him to the end of the earth in his relationship with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Absolutely. Hey, give me a Howard Sudbury on the side too, man.
Oh, was there anything better than you felt like you were losing Johnny, but to see Howard pop up, come on, there was nothing better.
He had that microphone for the Mike Ditka show, man. Howard was a star back when you could still be a star on local TV.
Let's go into the crowd. Howard, who are you with? So good. 11 a.m. on a Sunday.
Oh, man. Oh, it was so real. It was so real. And then 11:30 rolls around, and there's Brent Musburger looking live at everybody.
Yep. You are looking live at Buccaneer Stadium with 7 people in it. I loved it. It's
pretty funny. I got to let you go here in a second, but it's pretty funny how back then, was it Jimmy the Greek they had on, was like this creepy sort of like, what is he? Is he, degenerate gambler? Obviously, yes. And like, there was just this sort of illegal vibe about him. And now it's everything. Like, he was so ahead of the curve, Jimmy the Greek, that it's hilarious when you think of the way they sort of pose that guy as this almost like a villain, even though he seemed like the nicest guy in the world.
Jimmy the Greek.
The Greek, yes.
You couldn't get away with naming somebody that nowadays, but you did back then, and Jimmy had it going until he didn't.
Hey, if you're Greek and you're Jimmy and you want to be Jimmy the Greek, I think you could, I'm not entitled to give him that nickname, but I think, if you want to be Jimmy the Greek, you could be Jimmy the Greek.
I mean, we're in Pappy territory right now. I feel like it's going to be Hug a Jew Day or Hug a Black Day.
Oh no, we're not taking it there. No.
Well, that's what we're in the general ballpark here, Marco.
That's true. This is the Score. So yeah, we're gonna have to check the Mitch meter once we get done with this puppy. We are wrapping it up right now. It's Mark Carman from CHGO, who I got to let him go because he's probably got a show to do in about 10 minutes or something like that. Because you guys do, man. You guys do terrific work, and I do make fun of you guys because you're always doing shows, but that's awesome that you're always doing shows because that means things are going well. That's cool, Carmio.
I appreciate the promotion, Marco. We're, trying to get a small piece of the pie, keep the rig on the road over here. So thanks for having me, and thanks for giving CHGO a shout out.
Thank you, Carm. There goes Mark Carman. You should follow him. Follow him right now at the Carm on Twitter. He's a hilarious follow. And he does wacky stuff for CHGO. And like I said, he'll be at the Combine. And who knows, we may conspire on a couple of things when we're out there in Indy. Thanks to everybody for listening to this extended episode of the Daily Score. I'm Mark Grote. We'll talk to you shortly.